Welcome to School of Scars, where your deepest wounds become your greatest wisdom.
We're your hosts, Carissa and Jake Worthington, here to bring you a fresh, no fluff perspective to spirituality, manifesting, and creating your dream life while keeping it real about the big emotions that come with it.
We know the journey isn't always sunshine and high vibes. Sometimes healing hurts.
So if you're ready to turn your scars into stars, raise your frequency, and manifest a life beyond your wildest dreams, you're in the right place.
Let's dive in.
Yes!
It sounded weird.
That was our first intro.
Yes, but we need to get recorded or something.
Yes, we will do it. You want to work on just the intro and then we can just worry about that?
No, we just need to have it recorded and then
Okay.
in.
So,
am I blurry on your screen?
no, you're not. It's just
You're kind of
buffering.
blurry on mine.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, we are the School of Scars. Chris and
Actually, let's talk about that. Let our listeners know what's going on.
Yes, well, in looking at who we are and what we offer, one thing that we noticed is that we're not looking for Band-Aids, we're actually looking for healing. And what is a scar? A scar is a healed wound. So a school of scars is literally us learning to tap into those wounds that made us who we are and actually turn them into our greatest strengths.
Sure. So let's actually explain though to them what we're doing with School of Scars so they have an idea. So we're going to be pivoting from our original, actually not even our original name because we've had like 3 different names, but we're no longer going to be calling this podcast. I don't even know what were we calling it?
Last we told them was Manifestation Misfits.
Yeah. So we've been a couple different things, and thank you so much for your support and your love and your patience while we figure this out. Jake and I very much are like kinesthetic learners, so we have to actually put something together in order to see whether or not we like it. So it's very much like trying on clothes, right? You go to the department store and you actually put the shirt on. Actually, I don't know if you men do that quite as often, but like us women, we do that. We physically go into the dressing room, we take the time and the effort, and we put on the shirt and we say yay or nay. And I am very much like that in my own life. So I'm not really the type of person that needs a lot of encouragement from my business coach to like take action, just take action, take that messy action, get over the fear and take the action. My coach is the opposite, where it's like, don't take any action. Like you're fine. Like you need to just wait and you need to chill until you have your thoughts collected and you're ready to execute, because I don't have a lot of fear in messy action. So clearly, like, we just started this podcast. We wanted to get it out to you guys. We wanted to share our wisdom, share our knowledge, and share it with the world. And so we appreciate the fact that you guys have come with us on this journey through multiple name changes. And we feel real secure about School of Scars. Really, really secure about that. So no more changes.
Yeah, and we did enjoy Love Yourself Again, but we did notice that it was a little bit in your face for a lot of people where, wait, I love myself. And then at the same time, their habits don't necessarily reflect that. And I think that can get very confrontational for some people, is what we noticed. We then went to kind of Manifestation Misfits, which totally was fun and playful. But then we came up with School of Scars one night when we were in some deep reflection and meditating together. And we both looked at each other and we're like, fuck yes. That's us, right? That is really us. It outlines us. My brain and my body have scars. My heart has scars. And I know I can speak for you, Carissa, that yours is the same, correct?
Very much. Very much. Yeah.
And so we would like this podcast and everything that you do with us to be a safe place for you to investigate those scars, investigate those wounds, and be able to wear them proudly as your badge of honor. We don't need to hide our scars. Our scars made us who we are. What we do need to make sure is that our wounds aren't hurting the people that we love. And I know that for me in my past, my wounds were very much hurting the people I love. Mm-hmm. And so when we can actually stop re-inflicting injury to the wound, and the wound can actually have time to get some sunlight and get some, ointment and actually heal without being irritated still, then it can actually turn into a scar and we can move past it and we can look back and be like, oh yeah, remember remember when I filleted my finger open there? And it can be a memory that we kind of look back on and remember the lessons we learned.
Very well said, hon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, with that being said, what we're really here to talk about today is vibration, right? We're here to talk about vibration. And
Yeah,
in
just
order, go ahead.
no, go
In
ahead.
order to not be in order to not remain in victim consciousness, we actually need to change our vibration, right? And when we are, whether it's first getting sober or getting out of a breakup or, dealing with something big, losing a job or anything like that, our frequency can get very low. We can go into guilt and shame, we can go into remorse, we can go into these very low fear, we can go into these very low vibrational scales. And basically with a commitment, with basically an intention and a commitment and putting yourself on a mission, you can raise your vibration. You can change who you are as a person. You can change the frequency that you tune into. No different than turning the dials on the radio and tuning in, to a different station. You're on the heavy metal station and you want to go to smooth jazz, you can do that. Okay. And you can
With
do
the
that
push
in
of a
life as
button,
well.
just boop, and you're on a different frequency.
And can we do that with our lives?
Yes.
How?
So that's actually called jumping timelines, right? So we don't go into how to raise your vibration too much here in the podcast. But I can give you guys kind of like just a brief understanding, right? It's like Jake mentioned, you're listening to the radio, which I don't know how many of us actually listen to the radio nowadays, but you listen to the radio and it starts to get all staticky and you can no longer hear the beautiful lyrics and the melody and the song itself. So with the click of a button, right, you go from 99.1 to 102.7 and now boom, you're on a better frequency. You can now hear the music again. And essentially, as human beings, because we're electromagnetic beings, we can do the same. Electromagnetic means you're basically your electricity as well as an earth suit. Electricity meaning like your lungs fill with air completely on their own. You don't have to tell yourself to breathe. Thank God, that would be so boring and exhausting. Your heart beats on its own. Your brain thinks by itself. So when you are in a lower frequency, and granted, like we totally get into bad moods, and that does not mean that your frequency is lower. That's not what it means. When we're talking about frequency, it has to do with your dominant frequency. So if you're pretty happy 70-80% of the time, like you're doing good, you're doing good, that's your dominant frequency. You're still going to have like those bad days and those tough moments, and that's all a part of the earthly human experience. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about your dominant frequency. If you were to take like 30 days, like how many of those days are essentially good days as opposed to bad days, which there's no such thing as good or bad really even in the universe, but just for specificity and clarification purposes. So when basically like timeline jumping is when you make a different choice that is going to change the trajectory of your life. And generally we're speaking like positively. So like when I was, wanting to get sober and I was definitely in like a lower frequency, the moment I made the decision to get sober, and then took the action to get sober. Not like, oh, I'm going to get sober and then you're like just drinking. No, but like you actually start going to AA meetings. You actually make the phone calls to find yourself a rehab or a sober living. Like that is jumping a timeline. So even though you're technically still in like a lower frequency, because in specific to this analogy or this example, like most alcoholics, if you struggle with drugs or any type of addiction, alcoholism, one, welcome, right? Because both Jake and I are recovered alcoholics, so you're in the right spot for sure. But when you fuck, what was I saying before that? When you make that decision,
And you're jumping timelines,
yeah.
even if you're in
Oh,
a low
that's right.
frequency.
So if you struggle with addiction, then generally speaking, not everybody, there's always exceptions, but generally speaking, you're carrying a lot of shame. You're carrying a lot of shame. You're carrying a lot of guilt, and that would be your dominant frequency. Doesn't mean you're not going to have good days in between there, but that's your dominant frequency is vibrating, and it's your cells. It has to do with your electrons, protons, and your neutrons within the cells, and we have 400 trillion cells, so the whole body is full of cells. If those cells are vibrating at the frequency of shame and the frequency of guilt and the frequency of apathy, is the energy, right? That is like the signal that you're sending out from your electric body, right? AKA auric field, or what most people know as like their aura. So they send that out. That's the dominant frequency. But even though it doesn't really feel like you raised your vibration, once you make a different decision and get into action with different choices, that is the moment you start raising your frequency, that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really amazing. So many people are actually very sad and very depressed and very upset with themselves when they're in rehab. I'm actually just reconnected with an old high school friend who relapsed, and she's living in a sober living right now. And I'm over here like so proud of her. I'm just like, dude, you're getting sober. This is amazing. Like your life's gonna be so much better. And I'm so happy for her while also validating her earthly experience because she's away from her baby and that fucking sucks for sure. But she just quantum leaped. It doesn't feel like a quantum leap because you're like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is not fucking up my life with drugs and alcohol. But it doesn't matter, right? We come to earth we come to earth, I believe, with certain scars. Like we come with soul scars to fucking figure shit out and heal. So it's really cool when you make a different choice. Or like another good example is when you are playing out an old version of you, or when you're behaviorally playing out like an old timeline. I'll use Jake and I for an example. I don't think he'll get mad. Jake and I got into a big fight last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, last
Yeah,
week.
last week. Yeah, early last week, Monday. We got into a big fight. Big fight. We haven't gotten to a big fight like this in a really long time. We got into a big fight and we didn't do great throughout the day. We did not do great throughout the day. We were playing out old behaviors. We were yelling, right? We were saying things that we didn't mean. We weren't breaking contact. We weren't using nonviolent communication. Wasn't violent communication, but it definitely wasn't nonviolent either. So we were playing out old versions of us. It was almost like we just hopped back into an old body or an old version of us. And all of a sudden I was mean Carissa and he was asshole Jake. And no joke, it lasted all day until I went to a sound bath and Jake went to soccer. And you guys, oh my God, like that break was so good for us because no joke, when we both came back home, we both completely surrendered and we made a different decision. It was like we saw it, we saw what we were doing, and we were like, oh, this is not the new Carissa. This is not the Carissa that I want to uphold. This is not a Carissa that I want to stand here and fight for. In fact, I don't really like this version of me. This version of me is awesome if we're ever at war. Like, bring that girl out. She's fucking gnarly. Like, she's gnarly and she's dope as shit, and she will fucking cut a motherfucker to save her family.
Because, girl, I will cut you.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a badass fucking version of me. That is not the version of me I want to use on the man that I want to spend the rest of my life with, right? That's not going to go down well.
Yeah.
So that's a really good example of jumping a timeline. Like when we finally saw our behavior, like took the bird's eye view, right? Became the observer, and we were like, oh my God, we're acting like immature children. Oh my God, fuck. Okay. Like I remember the second I came out of it, I'd actually just smoked a CBD joint and I'm driving home and I just saw my shit. I was like, girl, you're being a fucking cunt. Like just stop. Like just stop. Like, is this even fun? Like just stop. And I came inside the house and I text Jake and I was like, I don't want to do this. And Jake was like, me either. Like, and it was just over in that second. And so Jake and I talk a lot about this with our own skeletons and our own behavior that we deal with, right? Deal with doesn't even sound loving and kind, but like that we deal with, right? That we're learning to do better.
Well, we
And like
live with,
we
right?
live
We live
with.
with.
Yeah, we live with. And Jake always says, like, the moment you can, snap out of it, meaning like you're no longer in the cortisol and the adrenaline, but like you've calmed down. Like don't try to save face. Like don't. Like I could have tried to like save face and like stood my ground with the argument, which I don't even fucking know what the argument was, which is ridiculous because it was just last week. So clearly we should remember if it was that fucking important. But man, the second one of you, if you're in a relationship, the second one of you can kind of like come to, take that opportunity to just surrender because most likely your partner does too. If you're in a relationship with someone who is in this line of work as well, along with you, and wants to be better, wants to do better, man, try to surrender as soon as possible and come back to baseline.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that because one of the things that we try to do with some of these stories is basically show everyone that we're not preaching that we're perfect. We're not
Hell
preaching
no.
that we have all the answers. What we're saying is living with some of these things that we have lived with for a long time, right? Living with myself is a full-time job, right? And if you're anything like us, living with yourself might be a full-time job. And then you go and you say, well, hang on a second. I know that I deserve deep romantic connection. I deserve a deep level of intimacy. I deserve to know that my person is my person, ride or die, no matter what, and I deserve to have that level of faith in my relationship and commitment from my partner. And if you don't feel that way, by the way, you definitely need to be listening to our podcast all the time because you fucking deserve that.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
deserves that. Connection is important. It is the antidote to the real pandemic that is sweeping our world, which is loneliness. And even though the internet makes us more connected than ever, a lot of time people are very lonely.
It
So
disconnects us too.
exactly, it disconnects us too.
Yeah.
So when we're sharing these stories, and we have many, okay, we're sharing these stories so that you can see, oh, okay, so all right, even though I'm practicing manifestation, I can have an argument in my relationship. Even though I'm working on becoming a better person, it doesn't mean that I don't have days where I lose my temper. Doesn't mean I don't have days that are less good than another day. It just means that I am perfectly imperfect, right? So I want to go over something that you've been talking a lot about, but I want to play devil's advocate here. So if you wouldn't mind, can I kind of see can I ask you some questions here, Carissa, and then
Mm-hmm.
you line them up and knock them down?
Yeah. Hold on.
What?
My eyelash is coming off.
I couldn't tell.
Oh my God.
I couldn't tell. Do you need to stop?
Yeah, hold on. Just pause.
Pause.
But don't stop recording. Just give
I
me a
won't.
sec.
Okay. So as a combat veteran who has PTSD, well, excuse me, as a combat veteran who is recovering from PTSD, I am talking about vibration. I am talking about changing your energy. Why am I talking about your vibration, and why am I talking about changing your energy? Well, like Carissa's already said, changing your energy is a commitment. It's something that you snap your fingers and you decide. That's it. You're one decision away from a completely different life. So, all together now, I want us to stop and I want us to look at our lives. And if our life is not exactly how we want it, I want you to immediately look at the things that need to be done in your life in order to make it exactly as you want it. So, what is missing? Okay. Now, once you make a decision to bring those things into your life, you have already started to bring them into your life. Once you make the decision to say, I deserve a loving relationship. Yes, I do. What does that look like to you? Because your idea of a loving relationship might be different than my idea of a loving relationship. So as you are looking at, I deserve a loving relationship, I want you to start really imagining, what does a loving relationship look like to me? And I want you to get as specific as you can. Okay, you back?
I'm back.
I was just practicing.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So, Carissa, let me ask you a couple questions. Number one, vibration, energy, frequency. This is all pretty hocus pocus, right? I mean, come on. Like,
Well, not
prove
really.
to me that energy exists. Prove to me that frequency exists. Okay. Like, do you remember the analogy you gave me the other day
No.
about Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's not woo-woo, not anymore, right? It used to be, maybe when The Secret first came out, but with the internet, literally everybody can just look things up. So like you can do a Google search and you can find all the facts for energy. So what Jake was talking about, I love this. It's like most people, even not even just Wi-Fi, but electricity, right? Like nobody actually understand. Most people don't understand how electricity works. Like I don't know if you've ever like tried to explain electricity to a child, but sometimes you get tongue-tied where you're like,
Magic.
I don't know, you just push a button and it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way my whole life. So obviously I believe in electricity. We don't actually see electricity. You know what I mean? Wi-Fi is the same way. It's like most people believe in the Wi-Fi on their cell phones where they just call a person from the other side of the world. Like that's insane. Like that is insane. That's also another really good analogy for manifestation. So like with manifestation, you need, oh my God, this just came to me. You need to be so fucking clear in your manifestations, just like we are on the phone. Like if you want to call someone, you need to dial their phone number, their exact phone number, 951-676-9177. If you dial 951-676-9178, that's my childhood phone number. I don't know why. It just came out. It
I
just
was
did.
going to say, people are going
Weird.
to be dialing that.
No, I don't know why. My parents used to make us recite it over and over and over in case we got kidnapped, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Needed a call home for a ransom.
I thought kidnapping was going to be a much bigger problem growing up because I was trained on
Right?
everything to
Me
what happens if you get
too.
kidnapped, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't just my folks. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you dial, this is how important frequency is, right? If you dial one digit off, you are not on that frequency and you will not get that person on the other end of the line. The frequency needs to be exact. Same with your manifestations, right? It needs to be specific as all hell. If not, you're not going to be able to connect to the manifestation you want. You're not going to get the desired result that you want.
Yeah.
So
but Carissa, I mean, the remote control from my phone, from my TV, right? There's no cord that attaches my remote to my TV, right? That's not really frequency. That's not really what you're talking about, right? You're not literally talking about that it's that easy, are you?
yeah. 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 So it really is that easy. What stands in our way is us. What stands in the way is our mind. What stands in the way is the limitations that we have created during our life here on earth. And it usually starts in childhood where people, and unfortunately, it usually is our parents and our caregivers, our brothers and our sisters and our teachers who say things to us that I don't want to say make us believe,
Well,
but like,
in the Four Agreements and in the Don Miguel Ruiz books, he talks about domesticators, right? And he talks
right.
about that it's domestication,
It
right?
is. It's like you have this little 5-year-old, right? That wants to be a musician and he loves his guitar and his piano. And that is his dream. He wants to be a musician. And dad comes home and says, son, be realistic. Be realistic. That is, if you want to be broke, that's a great job. Boom. Right there, that dream starts to dwindle. And then 3 years later, now you're 8 years old and you're playing at your church and someone tells you that your voice isn't that good. Boom. Right? Then you get into middle school and you have a teacher that says that all musicians starve, or if you want to be a starving artist. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Maybe the teacher was a failed musician, maybe, or
Correct.
maybe,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep. And
So
so we get all these ideas using logic and reason. Fuck logic and reason. You don't want to use logic and reason nearly as often as we're using it. I use it all the time and I make myself so mad when I catch myself because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not using intuition and faith. I'm using logic and reason. You know, when it comes to your heart's desires, fuck that noise. Go with the heart. Go with the body. A great example of like Jake just got asked to coach again. Congratulations, honey.
thank you.
For those of you that don't know, Jake used to own a CrossFit gym. He is such a good coach. I'm not just saying that because he's my person. He legitimately has a knack. Like he legitimately has a knack. If I'm being totally honest too, I would much rather Jake like not work at the place he's working and just focus on the podcast, right? If I had it my way. But this was the question I asked to him when he came home last week and not asked if he could have the job, but kind of, right? Because we're in a
Well,
relationship.
we're in a relationship, and the job was going to be, it is 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and that is like dinner time for family. That is everything, right? And so I wanted to check in with my partner and say, listen, any decision we make, we're technically making together, right? Because what affects one of us affects both of us, good, bad, or the other way. So when I came home and said, hey, this is what I'm looking at, and I really kind of I want to do it.
Well,
What
you
did you
didn't say
say?
that at first. You
Okay.
didn't say that at first. So we were sitting on the couch, and at first, from what I remember, babe, tell me if this resonates, is we were both kind of using logic and reason in the beginning of the conversation, where I was like, 6:30 to 7, 4 days a week, like that's not reasonable. We like to go out when we don't have Avery. We have Avery Monday and Tuesday, so that's easy, right? We're home being parents. But on Wednesday and Thursday, then it's like, we can't go down to San Diego. Like we were just in San Diego last week for a Bryce Vine concert,
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like in my head, I even told, actually not in my head, in real life. And I told Jake, I was like, ooh, that's not very realistic. That's really going to kind of like put a damper on our life and our freedom and this and that. And then fortunately my intuition kicked in and he answered something back. I don't remember what you said back, but I think you were kind of like, yeah, and it's only an extra this amount of money a month, so I don't know if it's worth it. And I could tell that we were both using logic and reason, so I stopped and I said, well, wait a second. How does it feel in your body?
Yeah.
Fuck the
And I said,
mind. Let's get out of the mind. How does it feel in your body? What is your body saying? Is it a fuck yes? And without skipping a beat, he goes, yeah. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, then done. Then
And I
that's the
can't,
answer.
and I can't explain. I couldn't explain why, but for me, I was like, for some reason, this is a yes. I got to
Yep.
do this.
Then trust that. So
Yeah.
that is energy. That
Yeah.
right there is energy. The body can't necessarily speak English, right? The mind learned how to speak English. But it's like when you get that full body yes, I want to do that. That's the soul, like igniting your energy and communicating to your body. It is a compass. It is a compass. It doesn't have to make sense. And that's why it's so hard to trust. That can be so challenging to trust. This was like kind of a baby situation, but Jake and I were having a conversation in the car today where you'll see people from like corporate America that are actually really like hippies at heart and they're really into manifestation and they'll have like this dream of moving to Wisconsin and buying acreage and starting a farm and like having chickens. And it's like, but they'll get tests from the universe where it's like, let's say they have this amazing job where they're earning $300,000 a year and their boss is pretty decent and their coworkers are pretty cool and job's pretty flexible. So it doesn't make sense to leave that good job. It doesn't make sense to say goodbye to a guaranteed safe paycheck of $300,000 a year, right? With a good boss and decent coworkers. Like that doesn't make sense. You're using logic and reason when in reality, that's not your soul contract. That's not what you came here to do. You're going to have to fucking come back and do it all over again because you're not listening to your soul. Because what your soul wants is to buy land in Wisconsin and have chickens. And if you listen to that, if you go against the grain and you're like, you know what? Okay, this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to listen to that, then you move to Wisconsin and you meet the love of your life, or you come into, $3 million because of the business idea that you got from living on the land. Like it doesn't make sense in the moment, but if you trust it, you are heavily rewarded. Heavily.
Yes.
Did that answer the question? Because I don't even know what the question was. I just started talking.
It's okay.
Thanks.
Like you said, if the movement strikes, if the spirit strikes, then you go with it. That's totally good. But yeah, I was basically saying that for the people that try to refute energy, which I'm not sure that a ton
I
of
don't know
people
if
are
there's that
that
many
aren't
anymore.
on this
Yeah.
podcast are going to do that. But it's really interesting, right? People are willing to consider all these really fabulous, like people are willing to consider all these really big ideas, but they believe that their future is not in their hands, or they believe that things are outside of their control. And one of the biggest ways to start changing your life is to raise your internal vibration. Now, just to kind of talk about this in real practical action, has anybody ever felt, I want you guys to ask yourselves this, have you ever had something where you're in a room with a bunch of people and then all of a sudden somebody new comes in and it changes the energy of the room for better or worse? Right? That is somebody's vibration that they're putting off. That is what the vibes that they're putting out into the universe. And some people will walk into the room and totally brighten the room, right? They'll come in and it's like, oh, hey, breath of fresh air. How's it going? You're like sunshine walking in here. And some people come in and you're like, whoa, a dark cloud just came in the room. Holy shit, right? And other people come in just completely neutral, right? Or just come in and vibe. Those types of things are literally someone's vibration. And it is something that we can change. It is something that we can tune into and we can look at. And if we're at a lower vibration, right, well, then we're going to be baby stepping our way up, and we're going to be making slow, sustainable changes on the way up. And we're going to start doing things that actually make us feel good about ourselves. And we're going to start changing the narratives, right? And I'm going to give you guys something right now that we use in our home. We've said it before. Are you waiting to say something, honey?
Well, I have a really good analogy for the analogy that you just mentioned. So when Jake was talking about somebody walking into the room and changing the vibration, what I want you guys to imagine, because it's always so much easier when we have visuals in our head, meaning like actually easier to believe in energy. So think of when you throw a pebble into a pond and you see the ripples going across the pond. And now imagine somebody on the other end of the pond throws in another pebble, and then the ripples start from the other end of the pond. Now, eventually, right, the ripples will reach each other in the pond, thus creating another ripple, right? A third ripple, have you. So that is how energy will work in real life, where it's like when the ponds meet, or I'm sorry, when the ripples meet, that is your energy mixing with their energy. And then there's this moment of calibration where it's like, what do I do with this energy? Do I like this energy? Do I not like this energy? Is this energy harmonious? Is it not harmonious? And the body decides whether or not it's harmonious based on how you feel, based on the feelings. And then that's when you can decide. People who understand energy and practice energy, that's how they'll know without ever speaking to a person whether or not they like them, because they're feeling your energy and whether or not it is harmonious to your energy.
That's right. And you'll also feel sometimes someone will come in with a dominant energy, and someone with a kind of a little bit of an inferior energy might succumb and cower to a dominant energy. And you'll feel that in environments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, one of the things that we'll see in our home is one of the things that Carissa implemented in our home is no more saying sorry.
Oh, yeah. No. No,
We
sir.
don't say sorry. So this is something that you guys just right now can start implementing in your life. We don't apologize for existing in this world. And that is Carissa's words, not mine.
Yeah, we
So,
only apologize when an apology is deserved. If
right. So
you've
when
been
we're
mean, apologize. Yes.
yeah, when we're walking in a grocery store with our cart and you go around the end and there's another person with their cart and the two carts don't even bump into each other. They
Nope.
don't even bump into each other. They
And
just
it's
you
like,
guys
oh,
are like, "Whoa."
sorry.
And everyone's like, "Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, 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 sorry,
And I'm
sorry,
like,
oh, sorry."
for
It's
existing in the same aisle as me at the same time in the universe? That's an odd thing to say sorry for.
yes. And men, it's not attractive to be the sorry, sorry, sorry guy. Okay? So if you're wanting to attract a high vibe woman, one of the things you damn well better apologize when you're in the wrong. Absolutely.
Yes.
Apologize when you're in the
Yes. Yes.
wrong,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
when you bump into somebody, excuse me,
Yeah.
pardon me, excuse
Excuse
me,
me. Didn't see you
excuse me,
there.
pardon me,
Such a
something like that.
nicer energy, you
Yeah.
know?
So, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. And then someone says, "Hey, you don't need to say sorry." Oh, sorry, 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 sorry. Right? Like we all know that we've seen those people, right? They're to
Yeah.
no fault of their own. And if you are one of those people,
It's
it's
okay.
okay.
We were too.
One of the things we start doing is we have to say, "I'm beautiful."
So if you're a man, you have to say, I'm handsome
No, you
after
have to
you
say, "I'm beautiful."
apologize. No, Jake always tries to get out of it by saying, I'm beautiful. Women say, I'm beautiful immediately after, because this is going to start breaking the habit. And now you're saying something kind about yourself instead of being sorry for being alive. And when we first started doing this, a lot of people were like, I'm sorry, I'm beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm beautiful. Right? And then Jake's like, I'm sorry, I'm handsome. I'm sorry, I'm handsome. And it got us out of I didn't really have a huge habit with it, but it got us out of the habit in the house within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, my daughter and I were saying it a lot.
Yeah.
So, and it is, right? So when you start these types of things, right? These types of tips, these types of practical applications, these types of everything about it, right? So Carissa and I are recovering from some serious things that we live with, right? We're recovering. I'm recovering from PTSD. I've had a traumatic brain injury. I actually get compensated for it. I'm a 100% disabled vet, and I do have all my limbs. I have sometimes some weird mood swings that I can't completely explain other than PTSD. I have some times where I kind of disassociate that I can't quite explain other than PTSD. But these are no longer life sentences for me. This is no longer something that defines me. I no longer sit at a table and in the first 10 minutes of meeting me, I've got to tell you all about this combat that I experienced in Iraq. I used to do that. I used to do it to absolutely everybody. It's no longer defining. It's just a part of my past. And it's something that we want to bring to the world, is helping people raise their vibration and working and building a community of people that are that are basically making a commitment to raise their vibration regardless of wherever they're at. You don't need to be immediately high vibe, but we do need to be making a commitment.
Yeah, start slow.
So what did you create for them? We created the vibration vault.
I was like, wait, what are we talking about? Jeez, I'm tired.
Yes.
Yes. So we created something called the Vibration Vault, which is our low cost, extremely affordable membership, manifestation membership. It's $27 a month. You get me every single week for a whole hour or a little bit longer. And this membership is really for the human being. It's open to both men and women. It's for the human being that is challenged with mental health and addictions. I do want to be clear that if you are in active addiction, this will probably not be the membership for you right now. Keyword yet. As really you want to just focus on getting away from your DOC and just allow that to be the focus. Worrying about manifestation and things like that's going to come once the drugs and alcohol are removed. So if you're in active addiction, please seek help. If you need help seeking help, please contact Jake and I. You can reply somewhere here.
Yeah. And men contact me, women contact Carissa.
Yeah, we do feel firmly
yeah.
about that. We will kind of, if a man contacts me, I will pawn him off on Jake. That's just out of respect for our relationship. So we are pretty big on that.
And out of respect for whoever's contacting us, relationships, right? I mean, we have people from all different levels of vibration, that are out there. So
yeah.
But the vibration vault is absolutely wonderful. It's packed full of practical information that you can apply, and each month is a new theme and something to focus on. And really, Carissa and I want you to kind of commit to 1 year, right? Commit to 1 year. There is no contract, but we kind of want you to make that little mental commitment. It's a community. It's a place that you can ask questions. It's a place where you can share your triumphs and your disasters, right? You can share them both. And we can talk about kind of what we experienced and how we kind of wish we would have handled it, or how we handled it like a boss and we would just want to celebrate the win. There's all levels of that in the vibration vault.
Yeah, it's just a really amazing community. We have people that are joining every day. I think we had 2 signups just yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a place where you can come and feel safe. You can unlearn some of the paradigms of thinking that you have been taught, like maybe you're not important or you're not worthy of every single desire that you have. And I'm here to remind you that you are. So, as long as your desires, as long as your manifestations are autonomous to you and respectful of others, then you are deserving of whatever that manifestation is, truly. And those are the things that we uncover inside the vibration vault. So, it's really for the human that struggles with mental health and addiction, who is dedicated. Like if you're wishy-washy, just don't come yet. Just wait, right? But it's for the individual that is dedicated to raising their vibration, to healing themselves to the best of their ability through our help, through the wisdom of the people that came before us, so that you can manifest your dream life, whatever that dream life looks like for you. If that dream life looks like a corporate job in corporate America, fuck yeah, I'll help you. If that dream job is you want to quit your job and have 5 more babies with your husband, then fuck yeah, I'll help you. If that dream life is becoming a professional snowboarder, like fuck yeah, I'll help you. If that dream life, like whatever it is, right? Whatever it is for you, because all of us are so different. Let's figure that out and let's work towards that.
Yeah. I know I jumped in like I was going to say something, but yeah,
don't you hate that? Where you're like, yeah.
I'm like, yes, absolutely. And what you can expect in there is a lot of encouragement and a supportive community, right?
Yes.
A lot of encouragement
everyone's
and a
great.
supportive community.
I'll kick
So
them out if they're not.
if you're, yeah, literally we hold the standard there, right? I'm in it, Carissa's in it, and we want everyone to be respectful of each other and so on. But we also want people who are committed to improving, right? Committed to improving. So if you're committed to your own suffering, which which does happen, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we know we work with a lot of people, and some people are committed to their own suffering. They're like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And we're like, why? Well, because I have to. Okay, why? Because you'll lose your job? Because that's a choice, right? Like, why do you have to? You are not, slavery's dead. There is no more slavery. Okay. Now I get it that a lot of
There
us
is in
could,
our mind.
I mean, we could have a nice conversation about the matrix and everything else, right? But really the worst form of slavery is that inner domestication. And again, if you've read any Don Miguel Ruiz, once we become domesticated perfectly, then we self-domesticate for the rest of our lives,
Yeah.
and we keep ourselves small. And in the vibration vault, we are looking to break and fracture. We're looking to fracture all those little rules, and then we're going to take those fractures and we're going to break them a little bit more, and we're going to break free from these limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah. I want to give the example. Were you done, honey?
Go. I
Okay.
love your examples.
I just wanted to, because I had a big breakthrough last night, and I told my friends that I was going to tell them about it, but I was a little bit stoned. So I told them I would tell them today, and I haven't told them yet. So I'm going to tell you guys first. But I'm in this manifestation community, right? Because I believe all coaches should be held accountable with other coaches. And so I'm like doing the exercises and these journaling prompts, and I couldn't remember if so I was reading the journaling prompts, and I was like, these questions look familiar. That's so weird. I think I've done this. And so I went back to my journal and I opened it up from November 7th, which is actually our anniversary. I think that's the day we met. That was our first date. I opened up my journal and I go back to November 7th and I'm like, oh yeah, I did do these journaling prompts. And one of the questions was, if money was not an object, like it was just no issue, if you had all the money in the world and you didn't have to work, what would you be doing with your free time? Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing? And immediately upon answering that question, let me rewind a sec. Before I looked in my journal, I was reading the journal prompt on the computer screen. And as I read it, I was like, okay, let me get into that energy. Okay, so I am rich as fuck. I have all the money in the world. What am I doing? And I don't know for sure if it's Africa. I don't actually know the country that it's in. I don't care. But I'm always in fucking dirt looking like shit. And I'm around a whole bunch of little black children. And I've had this image many times throughout the course of my life. Many times. My church, when I was a small child, my parents were involved in a Christian church. And we used to build orphanages down for children in Mexico. And I loved that. I really loved it. I really looked forward to it. I couldn't sleep because I was so excited. I could barely stand it when we were on the bus going down there because I just like loved it. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's weird that I loved it because they gave us shit food and it was actually kind of sad. But I don't know. I just connected with the children. I just loved it. I don't know if it was because the feeling of significance is very, very important to me. So I'm assuming because I felt significant, that's what it was. But anyways, so I'm doing this journaling prompt and that image pops up in my head and I'm like, that's so weird. I don't really have the body. For those of you that don't know me closely, I'm very high maintenance as far as my body, right? Like I'm on these organic, holistic herbs so that I could have a bowel movement every day. If I don't poop on my own. I have to take digestive enzymes when I eat a meal. What else, honey? There's like there's a
Yeah,
lot. I
sleep.
drink RO water with electrolytes. If I don't, then I stay thirsty and I don't get hydrated.
Hmm.
I use cannabis to help me fall asleep at night. Like I'm not a stoner. I don't use it all day long, but I do use it to assist me in falling asleep at night because I've got a little bit of an insomnia and I've had literally my entire life. So what I'm saying
And
is,
it helped you get off all those
oh my God,
prescriptions. I
yeah,
mean,
help me get
that
off
yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
But my point is like what I realized last night, so then I opened up my journal. So then I get that image and I'm like, huh, weird. Don't think too much of it. I shot it down. I shot that shit down. I was like, I don't travel well. Like that would be too hard. I can't even eat whatever food is out there because I can't even eat the food that's here. I couldn't go to the bathroom on my own. Like I just shot it down and I used logic and reason. All these logical, very reputable reasons, not excuses, but reasons as to why I could never visit children and help build a school or do some type of philanthropy work. That shit was shut down so fast that I barely noticed it. Then I went and I grabbed my journal and I opened it up to November 7th and I'm reading it. I'm like, oh yeah, I did answer these questions. I did do this part in the course. Okay. So then I'm like, oh cool, let me read my answers from 2 months ago. Like, what did I say? Sure as fucking shit. I wrote down images of me in Africa at a school doing some type of philanthropy work is popping up. So I'm going to write this down in my journal. So I actually like took the initiative and wrote it down because I was like, that's weird. I don't know why that's popping up, but I'm going to write it down. I wrote it down. And last night I shared it with Jake and then I was having a moment where I was like, holy shit. I now looking back on the timeline of my life, I went and I remembered all these times of thinking that that is something that's important to me, but I have deemed it unimportant because I think or hold a belief that I am incapable of doing that. Do you know how often we are doing that to ourselves? How often do we have a dream, childhood dream? Doesn't need to make sense, but a childhood dream that we shut that shit down because we believe it's impossible for us. And if we believe that it's impossible, then we deem it unimportant. We deem it unimportant and we just don't think about it again. And so then I'm like, holy, oh, I have chills as I'm saying this. So then I'm like, oh my God, how many other things am I doing in my life that I am deeming unimportant because I don't think that I can humanly possibly do them? And first of all, I fucking can. Okay, I'm young. I'm 39. I'm not even 40 yet. I am healing so good. Like, I'm not going to be dependent on holistic herbs to go to the bathroom. I'm going to heal that shit. I am healing my gut stuff. I'm getting safer and changing my relationship with sleep every single day. Right. So, is it possible that in 5 years, 10 years, that this body could be traveling? Hell yeah. Do I need to get into the action? Well, yeah, and I'm already in it. Do I need to acquire the habits of a person that could go through something like that? I don't know what the conditions are like in another country. I've been in Temecula my whole life. So I'm assuming it's going to be way different, right? So would I have to prepare? Would I have to go through all the action steps to prepare? Yes. But that's what it takes, right? And that's how manifestation happens is you have a goal and then you get into action. It doesn't just arrive at your door like, whoa, I've delivered your $1,000,000. No, you have to get into the action. And getting into the action is becoming the person who has whatever it is that you want.
And as you're raising your vibration, right, which is the beginning of all of this, then as you raise that vibration, you do start to jump over the hurdles, those mental blocks that come in saying, no, 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 that's not going to get into that
Yes.
and knowing and trusting that yourself will be okay and you will come out on top.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, well, I know we have had you here. We're going to try to keep these a little bit shorter, a little bit more digestible, a little bit more single sit and listen. So we don't want to take too much of your time. We just want to let you know that no matter where you are in your life, you are lovable, you are
Mm-hmm.
worthy of love. And if nobody has told you today, you are important.
Mm-hmm.
You are important.
Yep.
Your vibration, everything begins with a vibration. So if you are like, man, why do I keep attracting these scrubs? Unfortunately, it's your vibration.
It's you.
Why am I attracting these low quality women? Unfortunately, it's your vibration. Why am I attracting these low quality men? It's your vibration. How come my kids are treating me this way? It's your vibration. How come my boss is treating me this way? It's your vibration. Everything comes down to energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yeah, the
Like
universe does not speak language. The universe speaks energy.
energy in
Period.
motion.
Mm-hmm.
Energy in motion, emotion. Okay. It's there. Okay. So we have
And real quick, I just don't want anybody to get hung up on because sometimes I used to and still can get like really hung up on like, oh, it's me, like I'm attracting this, like fuck, like why am I still doing this? It's also like it's not just your vibration, right? Because you can still raise your vibration a little bit, but once you raise it, you have to continue to make different choices. So like let's say you've raised your vibration, you've been single for a couple months and you're working on yourself and you're in vibration vault. Now you're raising your vibration, you got some cool opportunities head your way. You're going on a date tonight, you're feeling really good because like you know you're going to manifest a better like a high quality date because you have been high quality, high vibe. Then you go on the date and he's sexy as fuck and maybe he makes like good money, but you notice some red flags. You notice some things that you particularly can't live with. Doesn't mean this person is bad, but you notice red flags. That right there is the universe essentially like giving you a test. Like, how badly do you want your dream relationship? Do you want it so badly that you're going to settle for this guy that's hot and makes money, but you can tell that is not a compatible partner? Right? So you have to make different choices, and let's say that you decided to move past those red flags and then date this person, and then it fails 6 months later, and you're like, why am I attracting them? You saw the red flags, you saw them, and you chose to ignore them.
And guys, we're just as guilty as that
Yeah.
as anyone.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Every
like
bit
you
as guilty.
gotta
Oh my God.
listen.
How could she do that? Okay. Well, you saw the red flags and you moved right past them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, raising your vibration, it will help you with your health. It will help you with your wealth. It will help you with your relationships. Okay. Somebody who is living and committed to raising their vibration is going to start being a little selective about what they put into their what into their body. Okay. They're going to start being selective about the energy they take in,
Yeah. Food,
everything. So it is,
music,
yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. So there are some things that happen, and as you're doing this, one of the reasons that we created this community too is because you are going to kind of like be in between relationships. You're going to be in between friendships. You're going to be like, wow, okay, I don't really align with those friends anymore that I've had for like 20 years. Holy shit. Like what am I just going to lose my friends? No, you're
Yes.
not going to lose your friends. You're going to start being the example,
Yeah.
and you might lose some friends. Okay, you might ruffle some feathers. People are like, no, hey, Jake, don't you remember? You're the guy that can chug the bottle of tequila. Like, you're the guy that is really fun at parties. Like, that's who you are. And I'm
Like,
like,
that was high school, bro.
I'm
That
sorry,
was high
but
school,
that's,
bro. We got to move on.
yeah, that's actually not who I am anymore. That's who I was. That's who I was. And yeah, there was some benefits to being that guy, but that's not who I want to be anymore. So I'm making the decision to be different. And so part of the vibration vault, you're going to learn how to set some parameters on some relationships, aka boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to learn a lot about navigating your life according to somebody on their mission to basically improving every aspect of their life. And the way to do that is it starts with your energy. It starts with your vibration. So that is why we created the Vibration Vault.
Mm-hmm. Please
And
join. We'd love to have you. It's $27 a month, so it's very affordable.
mhm.
And how are people getting a hold of us if they do want to join?
Okay, so right now we still have our website is currently Consciously Carissa. In the next month or so, we will be changing it to schoolofscars.com. I've already started to change my social media because I don't have the same following that you do. So mine is, you can find me at School of Scars Jake
Perfect.
on social media. And then you're Consciously Carissa for now. But soon you're going to be School of Scars. So just be on the lookout. And this, of course, podcast is now called School of Scars, and our YouTube channel is going to be School of Scars. So as you're looking for us, and again, the School of Scars is living and learning to live with, with your anxiety, learning to live with your PTSD, learning to live with all of these, borderline personality disorder, learning to live with these labels, right? These labels are not who you are. These labels are describing some characteristics and some patterns that you have. And can we change these patterns? Fuck yes, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Can we
It's a lot
stop them
easier
from?
to do it together than it is alone.
Absolutely. Doing it in a community is way easier, especially a
Way
community
easier.
of understanding motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Okay. Understanding people. Okay. So we would love to see you in there, and we will see you on social media, and we will see you here for our next podcast
Mm-hmm.
very soon.
And thank you for your patience. We love you guys.
Thank you very much. Have a great and wonderful day.
Bye.